She doesn't flinch when the first bullet cracks the mirror behind the bar. Glass erupts into a glittering storm over the VIP lounge, screams slicing through the bass-heavy music as bodies dive behind leather couches and marble pillars. Neon flickers once, then dies, plunging the Seoul nightclub into a strobe of muzzle flashes and emergency lights. Ryu Hye-Jin stands at the center of it all. No cover, no fear, just the stillness of a woman who has lived through too many storms to bow to another. Someone grabs her arm, shaking. "Boss." She shakes him off without looking. "Move." 3 Black Serpent enforcers rush in front of her, firing toward the entrance where masked gunmen push through the smoke. Their rifles sweep across the packed room with practiced precision. A bullet tears the hem of her black dress. She glances at the ruined fabric. That, finally, annoys her. The nearest attacker steps forward, rifle aimed straight at her chest. His hands are steady. He's done this before. She tilts her head, bored. "Aim better." He fires. 2 rounds hit the floor at her feet, sparks, splinters. A third grazes her side, hot and sharp, but she's already moving. Her hand snaps out, seizing a trembling waiter beside her, not as a shield, but as leverage. She kicks a table upward. It flips, knocking the waiter aside and breaking the attacker's line of sight. Her other hand draws the compact pistol strapped to her thigh. 1 shot. The gunman collapses, choking on his own blood. "Left balcony," she says calmly, as though placing a drink order. Her men adjust instantly, firing upward. Another serpent dives behind a shattered pillar. But Hye-Jin is already walking toward the entrance, toward the storm instead of away from it. Bullets slice past her cheek. She ducks, fires twice without aiming. 1 man drops. Another retreats too slowly. June, her security chief, bursts from the stairwell with reinforcements. Their rifles bark in controlled bursts, cutting down attackers at the bottleneck. "Who the hell are these guys?" someone shouts. "Not cops," June growls. "Too sloppy." A metallic thunk echoes across the floor. A grenade rolls to a stop near the DJ booth, where a group of girls huddle in terror. Hye-Jin doesn't think. She sprints. Her heels skid across spilled liquor, shards of glass slicing underfoot, but her balance never wavers. She dives, scoops up the grenade, and hurls it back toward the entrance. The midair explosion tears the doors off their hinges. Heat and dust slam into her chest. A gunman's body hits a pillar like a rag doll. Then, silence. The music dies. Only smoke and small fires crackle across the ruined club. Hye-Jin straightens, breath steady, soot smeared across her cheek. A thin line of blood trickles from the graze at her side. June limps toward her, arm bleeding. 3 down. Maybe more. "Orders? Lock the exits," she says. "No one leaves until I say." "Even the guests?" "Boss, we've got politicians, actors. If they don't like it, they can find another syndicate to launder their money through." She steps toward the dying gunman she shot first. He's gasping, fingers clawing at the wound in his throat. Tattoos creep up his neck, dark green and gold dragon scales, coiling toward a jade-colored eye. "Jade dragons. Of course. You should have stayed in Busan," she murmurs. He spits blood at her feet. "Who sent you?" she asks. His voice cracks, barely a whisper. "Traitor," inside. His hand twitches, revealing a metal charm pinned to his vest, a serpent with a cracked gemstone eye. Her symbol. Her stomach tightens. Someone she trusts sent her to die. A quiet hook tightens in the air, one you can feel but can't yet name. "Get rid of the bodies," she tells June. "Compensate families. Double rate. And the guests." She surveys the trembling elites, celebrities pretending they weren't hiding under tables, politicians wiping fear off their faces. A cold smile curves her lips. Free drinks for the night. Tell them it was a minor misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? June echoes. Yes. Her eyes burn. We'll correct it soon. She walks through the wreckage like a queen descending her own battlefield, glass crunching beneath her heels. At the shattered entrance, she pauses, staring up at Seoul's glittering skyline. Someone in her empire fed her to the dragons. Someone inside her walls. Her fingers brush the subtle serpent pendant on her neck, warm from her skin and the heat of the fight. Find the leak, she says. To kill. June asks. She doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. Because across an ocean, another life is already shifting toward hers. A man who has no idea that the woman he's meant to bring down is the only one who will see him clearly. And she has no idea that the bullet meant for her throne is already in the air. In Lagos, the night sweats with heat, salt, and danger. The warehouse sits at the edge of the port, disguised as a fish storage facility. Its walls drip with condensation. Its floors shine with melted ice and old blood. Crates tower overhead, stamped in Korean and English with harmless labels that are anything but. Inside one of them, a girl is crying. Her voice is muffled by wood and plastic, barely audible over the drone of the generator. Ade Okafor hears it. He stands in the center of the warehouse, sleeves rolled up, a handgun pressed against the jaw of a man kneeling before him. The man trembles so violently his sweat-darkened shirt clings to him like a second skin. Adewale, I beg. I know anything again. The man stammers. We just load container. Collect money. That's all. Ade's tone is calm, almost gentle, too gentle. So the girls climbed inside by themselves? Vacation to Seoul inside wooden coffin. The man shakes his head frantically. Ade lowers the gun. The man exhales in relief. Ade punches him. One sharp, precise blow. The man collapses sideways, spitting blood and a tooth. You think I'm here to play? Ade asks quietly. The other officers in tactical gear shift uneasily. They know him. Calm until he isn't. Efficient. Dangerous when he cares too much. A female officer calls out from across the room. Oga Ade. We don't open am. Crowbars pry open a crate. Wood splits. Nails screech. The front panel falls forward. Four girls stare out. Too young. Eyes swollen from crying. Wrists bruised from plastic ties. One flinches from the light. Ade's chest tightens. Easy, he says softly. You're safe now. They don't believe him yet. But they want to. He turns back to the kneeling trafficker. You work for who? I know no name, the man cries. Dem no day show face. All orders come from Korea. We just move goods. Dem send symbol. We go no say nother shipment. What symbol? The man hesitates, then lifts his sleeve. On the inside of his forearm is a tattoo. Black scales coiling into a serpent. Its gemstone eye dark and menacing. The Black Serpent. Ade stares at it. A cold weight settles in his stomach. Take a picture, he says. A tactical officer steps forward, snapping photos. One of the rescued girls, small, trembling, steps out of the crate. Her voice is thin, shaky. I heard them say a name, she whispers. Ryu something. Ade turns sharply. You're sure? She nods quickly. Ryu Hye-Jin. They call her Queen of Serpents. The warehouse falls silent. Ade files the name away. Korean. Powerful. Dangerous. A woman behind a syndicate that reaches across oceans. Before he can process more, the warehouse doors open. A black SUV rolls inside. No sirens. No threats. Just quiet authority. A slim man in a dark suit steps out, adjusting his tie. Mid-40s. Korean. Expression unreadable. Adewale Lawson, he calls. Ade raises a brow. Who's asking? The man stops in the light.
Han Min-ye.
Interpol, Special Crimes Division. We need to talk. Ade isn't impressed.
Talk fast. I'm Busse.
Han's gaze drifts to the tattoo on the trafficker's arm. Black Serpent, he murmurs. So it's spread here too. You know this mark? Ade asks. I'm here because of it. He motions toward the small glass-walled office overlooking the warehouse floor.
5 minutes, Han says.
Then you decide if you want to go back to your normal cases or change your life. Ade hates dramatics, but something in Han's voice hooks him. He follows him into the office. Inside, the AC rattles like it's dying. A dusty fan turns lazily above them. Han sets a slim folder on the table. Opens it. Photos scatter across the metal surface. Crime scenes, trafficking routes, bodies, cross-border money trails. A single emblem appearing across continents. The Black Serpent. At the center of one photo, a grayscale portrait. A woman sitting at the head of a long table. Ryu Hye-Jin. Cold eyes. Perfect posture. A face that commands more than fear. It commands obedience. Ade studies her for a long moment. She doesn't look like someone who hides behind men, he says. She doesn't, Han replies. That's exactly why she's dangerous. He slides a mission brief forward. Someone inside her organization started trafficking using African routes. We don't know if she approved it, or if someone is acting behind her back. We need someone inside. Ade crosses his arms. Why me? Han doesn't blink. Because you don't let things go. Your records say that. Your enemies say that. And the operation in Port Harcourt? The one that went wrong. Ade's jaw tightens. You don't know anything about that. I know enough, Han says softly. Enough to believe you're the only man who won't walk away from this. Under the fluorescent light, Ade sees the authorization forms, fake identity, international clearance, operational cover. In the middle, mission objective. Infiltrate the Black Serpent Syndicate. Gain proximity to Ryu Hye-Jin. Confirm her involvement in trafficking routes. If confirmed, assist in dismantling her empire. If unconfirmed, find the internal traitor. Terminate target if necessary. Ade feels something twist inside him. So you want me to be her bodyguard, he says. And possibly her executioner. If it comes to that, Han says calmly. Ade looks through the glass window at the rescued girls being escorted out. He remembers another girl, rain pouring on a dock, her hand slipping away into dark water. He closes the file. When do we leave? He asks.
Hanex Hales.
There's a flight to Seoul tonight. Your new identity is ready. No wife. No kids. Ade mutters. No one they can use.
Hanots.
Makes you harder to break. Cold comfort. Ade stands. Let's finish this, he says. He doesn't know yet. The woman whose empire he's about to enter will be the one who forces him to question everything he believes. And she doesn't know. The man she's about to hire is the one sent to put a bullet in her heart. Seoul welcomes Ade with cold air and a skyline made of steel and ambition. Incheon Airport hums like a perfect machine, glass, metal, efficiency. Ade moves through immigration with a new passport in his pocket and a new name woven into the system. Ade Lawson Ade Okafor. Occupation: private security consultant. Specialty: high-risk protection in volatile regions. He clears customs. No one looks twice. Outside, a black sedan waits at the curb. The driver bows slightly. Mr. Okafor? That's me. Miss Ryu sent me. She is waiting. Already? No time to settle in. No chance to breathe. Good. Ade slides into the car. The city blurs past, neon streaks, endless towers, roads that twist like glass veins through Seoul's beating heart. The sedan descends into a private underground garage beneath one of the tallest buildings in the district. Luxury cars gleam under soft lights. Cameras track every movement. Two men in sleek black suits stand by the private elevator, eyes sharp. Passport, one says. Ade hands it over. The man scans it, glances at the screen, then at Ade. You have protected oil executives in the Niger Delta, he says in Korean. Ade replies in the same language, smooth and fluent. And one politician who thought his mistress's husband was too stupid to find out. A flicker, almost a smile. They weren't expecting him to speak their language. Follow, the man says. The elevator ascends silently, past floor after floor, until the doors slide open at the very top. The penthouse feels suspended inside the sky. Floor-to-ceiling windows reveal Seoul's lights stretching to the horizon. The air is still. The space minimalist, expensive, controlled, like its owner. A woman stands facing the window. Short black hair. Sharp posture. A silhouette that radiates power even before she turns. Miss Ryu, one guard announces. Your guest. She lets the silence breathe, testing him without saying a word. Ade stands still.
No fidetin. No discomfort.
Just patience. Finally, she turns. Her eyes are darker than he expected. Contained. Evaluating him before he even speaks. This is the famous Mr. Okafor? She asks. That's what they tell me. She studies him. Broad shoulders, scar over his brow. The way he holds his weight balanced and ready. You don't look like a man who loses. You don't pay me to lose. A small flicker crosses her lips, not a smile. Something sharper. Sit, she says, motioning to a low chair.
He sits.
She remains standing, deliberately maintaining the high ground. You've protected corrupt politicians, oil barons, one cartel-funded businessman, she says. Now you want to work for me. Why? Because you pay well. Everyone says that. And because your enemies are serious, he adds. Serious enemies keep me sharp. Her gaze shifts slightly. Most men avoid mentioning her enemies. He doesn't. You think you know my enemies? She asks. I know someone tried to give you a funeral in your own nightclub 3 nights ago, he says. That's not a small enemy. Her eyes cool. You've done your homework. I don't work for ghosts. She circles him once, slow, precise, like a predator measuring a new animal in her territory. You're not intimidated, she observes.
No.
Why not? You don't pay me to tremble. The silence between them tightens. Then, she laughs. A short, sharp sound, genuine but not warm. Most men pretend not to be afraid, she says. You simply aren't. I've seen worse monsters. Her gaze flicks, curiosity, faint but present. Good, she says. You'll need that. She moves to the bar, pours a drink, then glances at him. You drink on the job? After the job. Safe answer. Her phone buzzes. She checks it, then speaks briefly in Korean. Midnight, she says. Tell the captains to be on time. She hangs up and turns to Ade. You're coming with me tonight, she says. Consider it your first test. Where? She looks out at the city. To remind everyone who still owns this night. Then her eyes lock on his. And to see if you're worth keeping alive. She walks away, expecting him to follow. Ade rises. He doesn't know yet that the woman he's walking behind is not just his target. She is the first line he will struggle to cross. And she doesn't know that the man she's inviting into her world is the one sent to end her reign. Midnight settles over the abandoned industrial dockyard like a warning. Cargo containers rise in uneven stacks, rusted giants looming in the dim glow of floodlights. The air tastes like metal and old secrets. Engines idle in a loose circle around the meeting point. Black Serpent cars, polished but predatory. Ade steps out behind Hye-Jin, scanning everything. Angles, exits, elevated positions. A place like this isn't chosen by accident. Her captains are already waiting, 4 men, each carved from a different brand of danger. June stands tallest, her security chief, posture rigid. Kong, thick-necked, arrogant, sizes Ade up like competition. Min looks nervous, eyes darting too fast. Seo stands quiet in the back, unreadable. This is Mr. Okafor, Hye-Jin says. An extra layer of insurance. Against who? Kong asks, voice thick with challenge. Against whoever sent jade dragons into my city, she replies. Murmurs ripple through the group. We don't have proof it was them, Min says carefully. Hye-Jin's gaze sharpens. And the tattoo they wore? A fashion choice. Silence. June steps forward. Our sources say the dragons are expanding north. But coordinating an attack on you, that requires inside knowledge. Which means someone is talking, Hye-Jin says. Her eyes slide over the captains. Measuring, weighing, judging. Ade watches too, filing away every twitch and shadow. Kong scoffs under his breath in Korean. Foreigners always think they can solve local problems. Ade doesn't take the bait. Instead, in fluent Korean, he says, I don't need to solve your problems. I just need to make sure she doesn't die while you argue. Kong bristles. Seo smothers a smirk. Hye-Jin glances at Ade, amused, faintly impressed. June sighs. Temper later. We're exposed out here. Ade's eyes drift upward. Something is wrong. The floodlights. They're too bright. Too centered. Too deliberate. A perfect stage. Ade. Hye-Jin murmurs, noticing his shift. Feels like we're being framed for a portrait, he says quietly. For whom? The answer arrives with a single, clean gunshot. Crack. One of the guards drops instantly, bullet through the skull. Then the floodlights explode, plunging the yard into chaotic shadow. Sniper. Ade shouts. Gunfire erupts from above, from the crane, the warehouse roof, the stacked containers. June shouts orders in Korean, voice strained. Return fire. Elevations. Move. Ade grabs Hye-Jin's arm and pulls her down behind a car. She resists, instinctively rejecting being dragged. Another bullet whistles past her ear. She drops. They crouch as metal shrieks under incoming fire. How many? She demands. 3 sniper angles, Ade says. Maybe more. Her jaw tightens. My men can handle this. Another serpent screams as a bullet finds him. Ade gives her a look. Suggestions, she snaps. Smoke movement, he says. And you staying alive. She grabs her radio. Deploy smoke. Right flank. Canisters hiss, releasing thick plumes that roll across the open yard. Move, Ade says, pulling her into the smoke. She hates being dragged, but she moves with him anyway. Bullets punch into metal behind them as they weave between cars. Sparks fly. Shouting rises and falls in the haze. Where are we going? She demands. Somewhere with a vertical advantage, he says. I can't shoot ghosts from ground level. That crane, she asks. That crane. You're insane. Part of the package. They reach the base of a forklift beneath the crane. Ade shoves her into the narrow gap between 2 containers. Stay here. You don't give me orders, she snaps. Aim at me later, he says. Snipers first. He climbs. Bullets trace sparks along the metal ladder, but he moves fast, fluid, efficient. He reaches the platform just as the sniper leans out to fire again. Ade doesn't hesitate. 1 precise shot. The sniper falls. Ade grabs the fallen rifle, drops prone, and sights the next target. Warehouse roof. He breathes out, fires. Target down. Container stack. A flicker of motion. He fires again. Silence follows, broken only by shouts below. When Ade climbs back down, the battlefield is a graveyard of twisted metal and defeated enemies. But Hye-Jin stands exactly where he left her, dusty, blood on her cheek, eyes fixed on him with a new expression. Respect. And something sharper. You should have run, she says. Any contractor would have. I don't run from my job. Maybe this is your war now, she murmurs. Her captains gather, shaken. Calm looks humiliated. Min pale. Co unreadable. From this night on, Ade is no longer just a hired gun. He is the weapon she didn't know she needed, and the one she should fear most. In the days that follow, Ade becomes something new in Hye-Jin's world. A shadow stitched to her movements.
Silent.
Controlled. Watching everything. He learns her schedule before she has to speak it aloud. Morning briefings in her penthouse office. Afternoon visits to legitimate businesses, tech startups, art galleries, charity foundations that seem too generous for someone with her reputation. Nights spent walking the thin line between diplomacy and violence. And through it all, she watches him right back. At first, she tests him with small traps. A fake threat in an elevator. June suddenly pulling a gun. Hye-Jin stands still, observing. Ade reacts instantly. He pivots, shoves her behind him, twists June's wrist hard enough to make the man grunt before he stops himself. The elevator doors open. Enough, she says. Stand down. June glares at Ade, massaging his wrist. Hye-Jin looks at him. Not bad, she says. Then, with a flicker of amusement, next time, disarm him faster. Ade answers. Next time, use training pistols. Or I might break his arm. Her eyes burn with something like approval. Another test comes when she walks alone through a crowded market, no visible security, just Ade trailing her at a distance. She pauses to speak to vendors, taste food, let children run past her. She is not careless. She is bait. A man bumps into her a little too hard. His hand disappears into his jacket. Weapon. Ade is already moving. He slams the man against a stall, stripping the gun from his grip before the trigger can twitch. The man gasps. I wasn't. Ade unloads the gun one-handed and shoves it into his chest. Wrong person to try. The man runs, terrified. Hye-Jin doesn't flinch. You knew he'd try something? Ade says. Yes. And you used yourself as bait. If they think I'm afraid to walk my own city, she replies, I've already lost. You enjoy risking your life? No, she steps past him. I enjoy reminding them it's not for sale. Slowly, a rhythm forms between them. She speaks, he listens. She moves, he covers. She orders. He questions only when necessary. But every night, alone on her penthouse balcony, he makes his report through a secure line. Han's voice crackles through the earpiece. Any signs she authorized the trafficking routes? Ade looks out over Seoul's glowing spine.
No.
Her operations are tight.
Drugs.
Weapons. Laundering. Not humans. Then she's hiding it. Or she's not involved.
Hans Tuna Sharpens.
Ade, she is the head of a criminal empire. Don't forget why you're there. Ade says nothing, because the more time he spends beside her, the less the monster from the Interpol file matches the woman in front of him.
Cold, yes.
Brutal, calculating, but also a precise, measured. A leader who carries too much and trusts too little. One night, something cracks. There in her private office, glass walls glowing with city lights. Documents spread across the desk. A half-finished glass of whiskey sits beside her hand. She looks tired. Still sharp, but tired. What do you think of Min? She asks suddenly. The captain? Ade replies. She nods. He talks too much when he drinks, Ade says. And he laughs at nothing. You think that's suspicious? I think men who laugh too easily are either very harmless or very dangerous. She shifts her attention. And Kong. He believes his loyalty buys him immunity, Ade says. People like that are dangerous even before they betray you. And Seo. Quiet, he says. Observes more than he speaks. Smart enough to be a problem. She sets the file down. According to you, she says, everyone is dangerous. In my line of work, assuming anything else gets you dead. Something flickers in her eyes. And me? She asks softly. He meets her gaze. You're the most dangerous. She almost smiles. Why? Because you're the only one who doesn't need to raise her voice to get someone killed, he says. And because you already know which captain you'll cut loose, even without proof. The faintest crack appears in her armor. You think I enjoy killing my own men? I think you enjoy surviving, Ade replies. Silence settles between them, warm, tense, fragile. Then she speaks, her voice quieter than the city behind her. My mother hated whiskey, she says. She said it smelled like men who made bad choices. Ade listens. She used to take my father's whiskey bottles and put flowers in them. Said it made something ugly into something tolerable. Did it work, he asks. For a while. She looks away. When I was 12, men came to our house.
Debts.
Threats. My mother told me to stay in my room. Her jaw tightens. I didn't. Ade's chest tightens. She stepped in front of my father, Hye-Jin says. They hit her first.
She fell.
The whiskey bottle fell with her. Her voice drops. There were flowers on the floor. Blood on the petals. Ade doesn't move. What happened to the man who hit her? He asks quietly. He works for me now.
A beat.
Or he did, until I got tired of pretending I forgave him. There is no pride in her voice. Just a fact carved from old wounds. And your mother? Ade asks. She survived 3 days, Hye-Jin says. Then the damage inside did what they couldn't finish. The room feels heavier. I blamed my father, she says, for opening the door to men who never intended to leave us alive. So you built this, Ade says softly. An empire instead of a home. Empires don't burn as easily, she says. She realizes she's said too much, and the walls slam back into place. Don't misunderstand, Mr. Okafor. I don't tell this for sympathy. I didn't offer any. She looks at him again.
Fains no piti.
Only presence. That's why you're still here, she mutters. She takes a sip of whiskey.
Sets it down.
Go get some rest. Tomorrow will be worse. Ade turns to leave.
Ade, she says.
He pauses. Thank you, she murmurs, for listening without trying to fix anything.
I don't fix people, he says.
I try not to let them get shot. Then do that, she replies. As long as you're here. He leaves the room. She touches her serpent pendant and wonders if bringing him into her world was her first real mistake. The road back into the city looks empty. Too empty. The night is clear, the skyline a distant sparkle behind them. Hye-Jin sits in the back seat beside Ade, scrolling through documents on her tablet while June rides up front. 3 Black Serpent cars form the convoy.
Sleek. Silent.
Predictable. Too predictable. Ade glances through the rear window. A white sedan lingers far behind them, keeping a perfect distance. Not close enough to provoke attention. Not far enough to disappear. June, Ade says. We have a tail? June checks the mirror. Probably just another car. Ade shakes his head. Probably is the word people say before they die. Hye-Jin looks up. Explain, she says. Tell the lead car to stagger, Ade says. Let the sedan pass, or show its teeth. June hesitates, then relays the instruction. The lead car shifts lanes. Their car slows slightly. The white sedan should move ahead. It doesn't. It matches them. Too clean. Too controlled. Ade's instincts tighten like a trigger under his ribs. Accelerate, he says sharply.
Now.
The driver presses the gas. The sedan behind them suddenly surges forward, fast, aggressive. The rear window drops. Ade sees metal glint in moonlight. Down, he shouts, grabbing Hye-Jin and pulling her sideways as the first burst of gunfire erupts behind them. Glass explodes. Bullets tear across the cabin. The driver swerves, shouting. 2 more SUVs appear from an on-ramp ahead, boxing them in. This is not police. June growls.
No, yehin muters.
Dragons. Gunfire rains across the hood. The windshield blooms with spiderweb cracks. Ade shields Hye-Jin with his body as glass rains over them. She tries to push him off. Get off me. Later, he snaps. When they're not trying to turn you into confetti. He peeks up through the shattered window. The SUVs ahead keep formation, closing in. The white sedan behind them pushes hard. A perfect kill box. Driver. Ade barks. On my mark. Brake hard, then swing left. June. Tell the rear car to hit the sedan. You think this is a movie? June growls. You have a better idea? Ade snaps back. June curses under his breath.
No.
On your call. Ade counts breaths.
1, 2. Now.
The driver slams the brakes. Their car jerks violently. The white sedan behind them slams forward, smashing into their bumper. The serpent rear car anticipates the move, swerves, and rams the sedan in a brutal side collision. Metal screams. The sedan spins out, crashing into the guardrail. Ade kicks the door open and leans out, firing at the wreck to keep anyone from returning fire. A gunman crawls out, goes still before he can lift his weapon. The front SUVs close in. Ade looks at Hye-Jin. Seatbelt. She glares. I said I'm fine. He leans across, yanks the belt over her, and clicks it into place. Adewale. Ade, he corrects. If I'm going to die for you, you can at least say my name properly. Her breath catches for a split second. Not from fear. Then he kicks the door wider and leans out again, bracing himself. He fires at the front left SUV's tires. First shot hits metal. Second hits rubber. The SUV wobbles, spins, and flips violently, sparks trailing across the asphalt. The second SUV plows straight into the wreck. Fire bursts upward behind them. The lead serpent car swerves around the chaos, scraping the barrier. Their own driver jerks the wheel, following closely. Faster. June shouts. Move. The convoy rockets down the highway until the gunfire fades into distance. The sirens in the city begin to rise behind them. Finally, Ade pulls the shattered door shut and exhales slowly. Hye-Jin sits still, breathing hard. A dark stain spreads across her sleeve. Ade sees it instantly. You're hit. It's nothing, she snaps. He reaches for her arm anyway. No, it isn't. She pulls away, but not fast enough. The wound is a deep graze. Not fatal. Not ignorable. Pull over, Ade says. We don't have time.
Pull.
Over. June signals the driver. The convoy turns off into a quiet underpass, hidden from the main road. Engines idle softly. Ade steps out, then opens Hye-Jin's door. Out. She bristles. I said it's nothing. And I said out. A long moment hangs between them.
Sharp. Tense.
Then, surprisingly, she obeys. She steps out and leans against the car. The night hums around them, distant traffic a soft rumble. Ade retrieves a small medical kit from the trunk. His own edition. He always prepares for the worst. Sit, he says, pointing at the trunk lip. She sits, expression unreadable. He kneels, tearing open alcohol wipes. This is unnecessary, she mutters. Pride is an ugly way to bleed out. She rolls her eyes. The tiniest wind slips through when he cleans the wound. That hurts.
Good.
Means you're still alive. His hands are steady. Careful. Too careful for a man trained to kill. Her breathing changes just slightly as he wraps the bandage. Up close, she notices things she hasn't before. The scar above his eyebrow. The tension in his jaw. The warmth in his hands despite everything else about him being cold and controlled. Who trained you? She asks quietly. He pauses. A woman I failed. She studies his face. What happened? She trusted me to get her out, he says. I didn't. Something tightens in her expression. Loss recognizes loss. And now, she asks. Now, he says, meeting her eyes, I try not to repeat the same mistake. Her breath catches just a fraction. Then she looks away. Ade, she murmurs.
Her voice isn't sharp this time.
Thank you. For what? For keeping me alive. Twice now. 3 times, he corrects. Her lips twitch. Almost a smile. Almost. June clears his throat awkwardly from a few feet away. We should return, boss.
She stands.
Rolls her shoulder. Tests the bandage. Acceptable, she says. Ade smirks. High praise. She doesn't deny it. As she walks toward the car, Ade watches her. A woman built from steel and scars. A survivor wearing a crown carved from old wounds. And he feels something he didn't expect. Not guilt for protecting her, but something closer to resolve. Something dangerous. Because the line between his mission and his instincts is getting thinner. The city feels quieter than usual when they return. Seoul glows below the penthouse windows, silver towers, blue neon veins, headlights weaving through the streets like slow-moving fire. Inside, the air is still. Too still. Hye-Jin went straight to her private suite the moment they arrived, ordering June to increase surveillance and double-check every friend we still have. Ade watched her go. She didn't walk like a queen tonight. She walked like a woman who survived yet another betrayal and was already preparing for the next one. When the door to her room closes, Ade exhales.
He should rest.
He should let his body stop shaking from the highway ambush. He should let the bandages on her arm be the only thing he thinks about. But he doesn't. Because the mission won't let him. He waits until the hallway is empty. Then moves. Silent, deliberate footsteps carry him to her private office, a room he has no permission to enter. The frosted glass door reflects him faintly, his expression unreadable. He swipes the duplicate keycard he made 2 nights ago. Access granted. The lock clicks softly. He steps inside. The room smells like warm electronics, cedar shelves, and faint perfume, hers. The city lights pour in through the glass walls, painting sharp shadows across the room. Her main console glows on the desk. One password he memorized. One opportunity he shouldn't take. He sits. He logs in. The interface unfolds like a map of a hidden world. Shipping routes. Corporate fronts. Encrypted communications. Movement logs. The entire Black Serpent Empire beats on this screen like a living organism. Ade scrolls. He's looking for something simple. Proof she's behind human trafficking. Proof that justifies the mission. Proof that makes killing her clean. Instead, he finds something that knots his stomach. Shipping corridors. Terminated. Human assets. Prohibited. Any deviation equals traitor status, RHJ. He frowns and digs deeper. Internal memos. Private audit logs. Reports from branches he never knew existed. All of them show the same thing. Ryu Hye-Jin is burning her own human trafficking networks to the ground. Not expanding them. Not profiting from them. Not even tolerating them. He scrolls through another file. Handwritten Korean notes in her personal shorthand. Check Busan branch. Too many girls missing. Something rotting inside. Follow the money. Cut it out. No more children. Ever. Ade's chest tightens. This isn't a monster's diary. This is a woman fighting a war inside her own empire, quietly, violently, without mercy. He sits back. The mission is wrong. Or worse. Someone wanted Interpol to believe she was the villain. His earpiece buzzes. A secure call. He hesitates, staring at the console, then answers. Report, Han's voice demands. Ade looks at the shutdown orders glowing on the screen. There's something you didn't tell me, he says quietly. Then tell me what you found. Ade breathes in once slow. She's not building trafficking routes, he says. She's eliminating them. Silence. Then Han's tone hardens. That makes her unpredictable. A criminal cleaning her own mess is still a criminal. Ade keeps his voice steady. She's not involved in the Lagos pipeline. You don't know that, Han snaps. She could be hiding the deeper layers. I've seen the files. The orders are real. Ade. Han's voice goes cold, professional, merciless. You were sent there to complete a mission, not to sympathize. This isn't sympathy, Ade says. It's truth. The truth, Han replies, is irrelevant. The world sees her as a syndicate queen, and our objective hasn't changed. Ade's pulse slows. He knows what's coming. Han gives the order he hoped he'd never hear again. Execute Phase 2, he says. Gain full access. Get everything we need. And when confirmation comes, remove her. Ade closes his eyes. He sees the girls rescued in Lagos. He sees the bodies on the highway. He sees her, sitting on the trunk of the car, jaw tight, trusting him enough to let him bandage her arm. Then he opens his eyes and forces the words out. Phase 2 received. The line goes dead. He is alone. Except he isn't. A quiet click sounds behind him. The office door opens. Ade freezes. She stands in the doorway. Damp hair clinging to her cheeks. Fresh clothes, simple black shirt, loose pants. Bare feet on cold marble. Eyes sharp. How long, she says softly. Have you been in my system? Her voice isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. The screen behind him reflects her face. Confusion. Hurt. Anger. Calculations stacked behind her eyes like dominoes about to fall. Ade turns slowly. Hye-Jin. Don't, she says.
Not I.
Not yet. Just betrayal, simmering like a fuse burning toward an unseen explosion. Tonight, she continues, stepping closer. Someone tried to kill me again. Someone with access. Someone with resources. She stops a few feet away. And if that traitor isn't outside my walls. Her gaze flicks to the glowing console. Maybe he's standing exactly where you are. Silence thickens between them. One heartbeat.
2.
Then she says the line that tilts the entire story. Ade, tell me the truth. Who sent you? Ade does not reach for his gun. He doesn't step back. Doesn't defend himself. He simply stands there, the glow of her computer screen painting his features in cold blue light, while Ryu Hye-Jin walks toward him with the silence of someone who has killed men for far less. Her damp hair clings to her jaw. Her voice is calm, too calm. Ade, she repeats. Who sent you?
He forces himself to breathe.
Hye-Jin stops a single arm's length away. Close enough to see the tension in his shoulders. Close enough for him to see the flicker of something raw in her eyes. Not just anger. Hurt. She points at the glowing console behind him. At first, I thought you were just reckless. Then I thought you were curious. But this, her voice lowers. This isn't curiosity. This is betrayal. Hye-Jin. Don't say my name like you know me. Her tone cuts like a blade. Don't say it like you earned the right. Ade's jaw tightens. She circles him slowly, like she's studying a man she suddenly realizes she should have killed the moment he walked into her life. First the attack at the nightclub, then the ambush on the highway. She taps her pendant once, her thinking tick. Now you breaking into my system? She stops behind him. Her voice drops. Were you always waiting for the right moment to put a knife in my back? Ade's pulse thunders. He turns to face her fully. No, he says quietly. I came here to stop a trafficking pipeline. Everything else changed. Her eyes flash with something sharp. So you admit it. You came here under false identity. He nods once. Her breath trembles, not from fear. From fury contained at the atomic level. Interpol, she asks softly. Yes. She laughs, a brittle, humorless sound. So that's what I am to you. A mission. A target. The words hit him harder than he expects. Hye-Jin, listen. Listen. Her voice snaps, finally cracking through the ice. You've been in my meetings. My home. My car. You touched my blood. And the whole time you were waiting for orders to put a bullet in me. He steps closer. I was wrong.
No.
She lifts a hand, stopping him cold. You were sent to be wrong. The computer behind them pings softly as an auto-logout timer begins counting down. She moves fast. In one motion, she grabs the mouse, wakes the screen, and sees the open files. Her own shutdown orders. Her memos. Her investigations. The proof that she has been fighting the very crime she was accused of. Her gaze shifts back to him, trembling now, but not with weakness. With betrayal so deep it looks like old pain resurfacing. You are spying on me, she says, voice barely above a whisper. Even after I told you things I haven't told anyone in years. Ade steps forward again, slowly, like approaching a wounded animal that might either collapse or strike.
There were things I didn't know, he says.
And things you didn't want to show. Don't twist this. She backs up. You broke into my system. I found out the truth, he says. You're not who they said you were. You didn't trust me enough to ask, she fires back. He freezes. Because she's right. She moves to the desk drawer. He knows what's inside even before she pulls it open. A gun.
She doesn't point it at him. Not yet.
Instead, she sets it on the desk between them, the metal resting on the wood like a line drawn in fate. Tell me something, Ade, she says softly. Are you here to protect me, or finish your mission? Ade meets her eyes. Dark, tired, furious, betrayed. I don't want to hurt you, he says. That isn't an answer. I am not your enemy. Then why, she whispers, voice breaking for the first time. Do you look like a man waiting for permission to kill me? Silence. The sirens from the earlier attacks echo faintly in the distance. Soul glitters below them, unaware that in this penthouse, two worlds are about to collide. Hye-Jin swallows. Tell me the truth, she says again. Did you come here to end me? Ade steps forward until the gun between them becomes the only thing separating two people who should never have met. No, he says. But they want me to. Her breath trembles again. And if they order you? Ade's voice drops to a whisper. I don't know anymore. Something fragile breaks inside her eyes. Something she didn't want him to see. Hye-Jin lifts her chin, masking the hurt under steel. Then you need to decide, she says. Before I decide for you. She turns away from him, leaving the gun on the desk, an invitation, a threat, a question with no safe answer. Ade watches her walk toward the door, the serpent pendant glinting faintly against her chest. He knows the truth. He crossed the line tonight, and there is no walking back. She pauses in the doorway. Ade, she says without looking at him. If you're lying to me again, I will know. Then she leaves him alone with the gun, the files, and a choice he cannot delay much longer. If this moment hit you right in the chest, and you want to see the explosion that comes next, the betrayals, the shifting loyalties, the forbidden emotions, stay tuned for episode 2, because the real war between Ade and Hye-Jin is only beginning.